Simply put, she takes for granted your constant support. But when you step back, something interesting happens, and she starts to wonder, question, and maybe even miss you. Why does it work this way? Why does your absence matter more than your presence? Our bodies often instinctively seek what feels right. Out of reach. When you're not available all the time, it makes her curious and interested. She starts to think about your worth and her feelings in ways she never did before. In this video, we'll go over the psychology behind this, the right way to step back, and how to use this strategy not only to get her attention, but also to build deeper, more balanced relationships with her over time. Let's get started. The first thing she checked was to see how you reacted. You retreated, allowing your quiet to speak for itself. Unexpectedly, she initiates contact. It could be as simple as saying, "Hey, how are you?" Or she could start interacting with old social media posts or comments on a story you shared weeks ago. She might even ask you about something obscure, like, "What was the name of that movie you talked about?" These things she does aren't accidents. She's trying to see if you're still willing to talk, available, and paying attention. It's her way of gently probing without making a big move. However, your silence speaks louder than words can. If you don't respond immediately or at all, it conveys that you're difficult to reach, that you're no longer closely observing her every move, and that you've become unpredictable, calm, and less desperate for her attention. This small change Sparks begins to question his silence. Has he moved on? Does he not care anymore? Immediately, the situation begins to change. The woman, who initially appeared uninterested, is now preoccupied with the fact that you failed to respond to her casual text. She attempted to reach out, but your lack of response left her uncertain and vulnerable to hurt. Because she's unsure of what to do, she often tries harder, such as sending you another message in response to more of your posts, or even attempting to be more direct. Now imagine she reaches out to him late at night with something emotional like, "I miss our conversations." It would be straightforward for him to respond with, "I miss them too," but the Stoic man doesn't. Instead of immediately validating her feelings, he pauses. He knows that responding isn't required, it's a choice. By holding back, he lets her sit with the discomfort of his silence. It's not about manipulating her emotions or playing games. It's about establishing boundaries, maintaining your composure, and demonstrating that your value is independent of her attention. Refusing to chase or react immediately allows you to regain control over the situation. With each unanswered message or delayed response, the balance shifts even more. She goes from being calm and detached to overanalyzing and actively seeking your attention. Your silence becomes a powerful tool. This approach to communication forces her to reflect on her actions, but it requires discipline. She will want to respond and fall back into old habits, but the more you resist and stay calm, the weaker her resolve will become. When she tries again, keep in mind that you don't have to respond. Your silence doesn't signify a lack of action. It's a decision. It tells her everything she needs to know, even if no one speaks. Number 2. Stuck in a maze of thoughts. The lack of your presence has left a hole that she can't ignore in your usual conversations. There are no texts, comments, or simple interactions. There's more than just silence. There's a hole in her mind that she can't stop thinking about. Did I say something wrong? Is he raged at me? Why isn't he responding? Her thoughts are racing. She replays every conversation, analyzing every word, pause, and reaction. That one moment when she thought she might have been too dismissive or distant now looms large. She looks for clarity, but only finds questions. And there you are, calm and steady in your silence. Your absence, whether on purpose or not, stirs up her inner chaos. She might have taken your attention for granted before. Now she's busy trying to fill the stillness. What if he doesn't care anymore? What if he's moved on? Imagine a scenario where she has grown accustomed to your daily check-ins, and the consistency brought her comfort. Now that they've vanished, the passing days serve as a stark reminder of your distant presence. She then looks at your social media accounts to see what you've been up to, trying to learn something new from them. Goodbye. Nothing. Your silence shows how unsure and upset she is, and as her thoughts go around in circles, you stay calm. This is where Stoicism comes in handy. Clarity. It's her job to deal with her overthinking. You don't have to fix it or hold it for her. Your silence isn't a punishment. It's a chance for her to face her feelings and think about the results of her actions while she's feeling overwhelmed by what-ifs. A Stoic knows that emotional unrest can lead to growth for both parties. Her discomfort may cause her to think about herself. Your tranquility enhances your value. When you pause your conversation, she begins to reflect on what you have said. Being still is not a form of withholding. Rather, it serves as a boundary that communicates, "I'm not here to approve of your every move." In this space, she faces what life is like without your constant presence. Her overthinking might get worse, but in your silence, you reclaim your peace and affirm your self-respect. Her trouble isn't yours to fix. Let her deal with it while you stay calm, collected, and true to yourself. Ultimately, your quietness will carry more weight than any verbal expression. Now think about this. Do we really understand the power of silence? It can be the most helpful to step back and let someone deal with their own feelings. What do you think about this? Does this method fit with how you see relationships and self-respect? You can leave your ideas in the comments or just be here in silence. Your experiences and reflections might help someone else who is going through the same thing. Let's keep talking about this. The tug of emotions. Third, as the silence lasts longer, she starts to feel its weight. At first, she might brush it off, telling herself that she doesn't care because she's better off without your attention. Over time, your absence begins to fill the void. It's not just the lack of a text or a missed conversation. It's the realization that you're no longer interested in her. This triggers a range of emotions within me. At times, she's mad that he didn't notice me. He should be the one pursuing her, but her anger quickly turns to sadness and even longing. She questions why he doesn't care, and she wonders if she's so unimportant to him that she doesn't feel important to him. She finds herself torn between feelings of anger and vulnerability. This isn't a mere coincidence in eternal turmoil. It's a direct response to the space you've created. In that void, your value becomes evident. At first, she might defend herself by posting a secret message online or sharing something that subtly conveys her level of upset. This is her way of maintaining a strong facade, but it doesn't last. The longer the silence lasts, the less frustrated she gets. Instead, she thinks about herself. Imagine a woman who relied on a man who consistently acknowledged and appreciated her emotions. When that pattern changes, she has to deal with her feelings without his constant reassurance. She starts to question herself and the relationship. Did she take him for granted? Was she too distant? Instead of feeling empowered, she starts to feel like she's lost what she could have had. Imagine that at first, her pride keeps her from reaching out. She tells herself, it doesn't matter if he doesn't want to talk, but as the days go by, her resolve weakens. She looks at old photos, remembers joyful times, and feels the growing void your absence has created. Eventually, she might send a message. She might convey a brief yet profound message, such as, "I just wanted to check on your well-being." To the uninformed eye, it may appear as a friendly message, but in reality, it's a silent cry for connection, a vulnerable gesture. This is where you, olive branch, need to exercise your self-control. Instead of reacting right away, you stay calm and know that her emotional ups and downs are a normal part of life. She misses more than just your presence. She's becoming more aware of how valuable it is. A silent man knows that emotions belong to the people who are feeling them. You are not in charge of making her feel better when she is angry, sad, or confused. You should refrain from intervening to soothe her emotions. Instead, you should stay cool and let her work through her feelings on her own. Distance doesn't mean you don't care. It means you respect her space and value yourself. Let her feelings show. Find out how important are you. This isn't about trickery or games. It's about giving her space to think about what your presence meant to her. By stepping back, you let her experience the difference between life with you and life without you. The ups and downs she feels aren't random. They're signs that she's trying to make peace with the void you've left. When she realizes this, she faces the undeniable truth. Your silence says more than any words you could have used. Keep going, keep your composure, and allow her to navigate her emotional journey. Journey while you hold your ground. Ultimately, it's your calm and unshaken presence, even in silence, that will leave the deepest impression. Number 4, the unshakable void left in your wake. Wake up. Your silence not only catches our attention, but it also resonates. Initially, she may convince herself that she's unaffected, assuring herself that she's okay. She fills her days with distractions. She engages in activities such as taking up a new hobby, spending more time with friends, or engaging in harmless flirtations. Although she appears to have moved on, there is an underlying emptiness and gap. No activity can truly end. She may post photos of herself laughing over brunch or enjoying a lively night out, but those snapshots only tell part of the story. As the distractions fade, a deeper truth begins to emerge. She starts to feel the weight of your absence. You weren't just part of her daily routine. You were a source of meaning, connection, and value she didn't fully recognize until now. What she once took for granted now feels like a profound loss. Picture this. She throws herself into a whirlwind of activities. Maybe it's signing up for fitness classes, planning an exciting getaway with friends, or swiping through dating apps for something or someone to occupy her mind for a while. It works. She's busy, surrounded by people, and feels temporarily distracted. But when the world quiets down and she's alone with her thoughts, the void becomes unmistakable. Every new interaction or conversation feels shallow compared to what she shared with you. No friend, no fleeting attention. No, you can recreate the depth of your connection through hobbies, not to boost your ego, but to realize your lasting impact on her. In those quiet moments, she starts to understand how much you meant to her. Your absence of words is also your absence of your unique energy, presence, and bond that made you stand out. Stoicness demonstrates that enduring forgetfulness is a positive attribute. There are few genuine connections based on truth and significance. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "What we do now will echo in eternity." Your absence isn't a punishment or a game. It's a lesson. It provides her with an opportunity to appreciate what she already has and reflect on the depth of the connection she might have missed. For you, it's a test of self-respect that shows you can take a step back and believe that being there is valuable. A calm man does not seek approval or fear replacement. He understands that walking away cannot mend broken bonds. You make room for growth and clarity, not manipulation. When she tries to fill the void with distractions, stay strong and don't reach out of fear or impatience. Allow her to experience the journey of self-realization according to her own terms. What you did or said won't linger with her. Your legacy will remind her of your importance. Some ties are irreplaceable, and your memory will endure long after your departure. What's your point of view? What do you think about the idea of the void we leave behind? It's not about mind games or approval, it's about the strength of silence and the honor of self-respect. Have you ever seen or been in a situation where moving away made someone see how valuable you were? Comment below or just share this truth and join the discussion. Real relationships can't be replaced. Your ideas hold significance, and the experiences you've had have the potential to inspire others. Let's continue to think and learn together. Number 5 is a picture of her inner self. World silence is a chance to reflect on yourself, not just the absence of words. She finds herself alone when your presence validates or reassures her. Distractions fade, and she starts to face her inner thoughts. Questions that were previously easy to ignore begin to surface. Did I distance myself too much? Was I careless with his presence? What responsibility do I carry in this dynamic? At first, she might not want to answer these questions. It's easier to blame your withdrawal or outside factors, but over time, Saint figures it out, and the noise of avoidance fades. She can't ignore the reflection your silence gives her. This isn't an effortless process. It's raw, vulnerable, and deeply personal, but it's also the spark for deep self-growth. For a woman who has always felt safe knowing you were there, whether it was just a quick message, a phone call, or a plan she could count on, losing that ability throws off her sense of normalcy. At first, she might try to find distractions and attention from other people by spending time with friends or trying new things. But no matter how hard she tries, these short-term escapes can't replace the safety she once felt with you. Eventually, she has to ask herself why his behavior bothers her so much. This is a pivotal moment for me due to the profound pain that absence causes me. Your silence isn't just to keep her away, it's also to give her room to grow. Picture her scrolling through her phone late at night, wanting to text you but not wanting to. Just as she starts to type, a deeper thought pops into her head. Why am I so focused on him? Why do I need his reply to feel whole? In this solitude, she starts to understand her insecurities, her need for outside approval, her behavior, patterns, and even the part she played in the breakup. Her realization is uncomfortable and possibly painful, but she must have it. Stoics say that solitude isn't a penalty, it's an opportunity. It's in solitude that we face our truths, accept our flaws, and see our growth potential. Your silence becomes an unexpected mirror that reflects her truths back to her in a way she hadn't seen before. Marcus Aurelius once said that a man can find a calmer or more peaceful retreat than in his own soul. By taking a step back, you're not only giving her room, you're also giving her a chance to grow. A man of Stoicism understands that one must actively seek growth. You shouldn't be leading her through this change. Instead, you should respect her enough to let her figure it out on her own. Your silence says a lot. I trust you to face what you need to face. I won't fix things for you, but I also won't stand in the way of your growth. This isn't about punishing or controlling. It's about creating a space where people can think about themselves and grow. Since real connections aren't based on dependence, but rather on mutual respect, understanding, and personal growth, know that your silence has power when she takes a moment to reflect. Your silence not only evokes her longing for you, but also challenges her to reflect on her own actions and values. By doing this, she's not only growing but also becoming someone who can appreciate the depth and meaning of what you bring into her life. Your silence isn't empty. Let it serve as the mirror she didn't know she needed to help her find her own soul. Number 6. When memories start to resurface, it starts slowly, almost like a whisper. A familiar song from your shared music plays in the background, or she walks by a place that reminds her of you both. and her mind floods with memories of the time you spent together. What starts out as a fleeting memory turns into a constant existence. It's now more important than ever that she noticed your unique laugh, how you paid attention to her, or how you always seemed to understand. Now that they're no longer with her, the everyday things she missed seem impossible to replace. As she thinks about it, she doesn't just remember the enjoyable times you had together. She starts to idealize them. A desire for the connection and warmth you brought into her life replaces the problems she used to be upset about. Imagine a woman who once felt confident in her ability to move on, believing that your absence would have no impact. She told herself that life would go on as usual. But as time goes on, she starts to see the empty space. Left one day, she discovers an old picture of the two of you, carefree, happy, and deeply connected. She hesitates, yet a wave of nostalgia compels her to look away. Or maybe she hears a phrase you used to say that hits her so hard that she stops, emotional overload setting in. These aren't just memories, they're realizations. She begins to see you not as the person from the difficult moments near the end, but as the one who brought joy, security, and meaning into her life. What once seemed insignificant now feels monumental. Monumental, no new distraction, connection, or passing time can erase the impression you left. The more she tries to move forward, the more the past resurfaces, urging her to confront what she once had and overlooked. For a Stoic, the past serves as a teacher, not a dwelling place. As Marcus Aurelius said, what stands in the way becomes the way while she revisits the past, lost in her memories. Remaining grounded in the present, you resist succumbing to the same wave of nostalgia, opting instead to concentrate on your personal development and purpose. Her memories, albeit poignant, mirror your influence. By taking a step back, you've made room for her to fully comprehend the depth of those moments, observing them with a clarity that only distance can provide. You know that real connections happen on their own, without any pressure or manipulation, and you respect her journey while staying true to your own. While her memories may haunt her, they also impart valuable lessons. They serve as a silent reminder of the power of presence, the kind of presence that endures long after your departure. So let her think about them, and let them guide her as she navigates her nostalgia. You stay focused on your path, moving forward with clarity and resilience. You may illuminate the past, yet your strength resides in the present. Take a moment to think about these truths. As you do, remember the Stoic principle. It's not about clinging to the past, but about embracing the present and giving others time to see what really matters. Share your thoughts in the comments, whether it's a personal story or a new perspective you've learned. If you don't know what to say, just write, "The present is my foundation." Your reflection could potentially assist someone else on their own journey. When you need help, when desperation takes over, the silence you've kept becomes unbearable for her. She's been struggling with her feelings, remembering the times you spent together and feeling the void left by your absence. Initially, she might have attempted subtle methods to re-establish her connection with you, such as liking one of your posts, sending you a casual message, or seeking opportunities to encounter you. However, when these attempts encounter your serene demeanor, her composure begins to crumble as she grasps the potential loss, leading to a surge of desperation. Subtlety fades, and boldness replaces it. Maybe she sends a long, emotional message full of her regrets and longing, or maybe she makes an impulsive late-night call, unable to hold back her emotions any longer. In order to break the silence, she may visit. Imagine this. She's spent days telling herself she's fine without you, and she plans her days with distractions. But at night, the stillness echoes louder than her denials, and her thoughts keep going back to you, your voice, your presence, the connection she's trying to forget. One night she can't hold her emotions in any longer, so she picks up the phone and types a message. "I miss you. Can we talk?" Or maybe she wants to do something right away. A phone call in the middle of the night or an emotional voice note aren't always brave acts. They can be signs of inner turmoil and unresolved feelings. Imagine she sends you a heartfelt, vulnerable message about her desires and regrets. As a Stoic, you might want to react right away because of how intense it is, but you stop and think, is this based on real understanding, or is it just a fleeting emotion? Do my ideals and principles match up with what I'm doing now? Am I reacting to how she feels, or am I answering with thought and purpose? A Stoic man doesn't let urgency control what he does. Instead, he thinks about what the best course of action is. Right away may not fit your values or provide the clarity you need. Sometimes silence or a measured response gives both of you the time and space to think. As a Stoic, you know that desperation doesn't always mean sincerity. Remember, no man was ever perfect. By chance, wise people make decisions that aren't based on careful thought. A calm man is patient because he knows that his actions have consequences. He doesn't react quickly to emotional displays. Instead, he thinks about them and makes sure that his response or silence is in line with his values and long-term goals. This isn't about being indifferent, it's about being wise. By not rushing to engage, you respect both her journey and your own boundaries. Her bravery could be an attempt to regain control or get rid of the discomfort of silence, but your calm attitude gives her time to think when desperation meets determination. Your calmness makes her think about whether her actions are based on genuine understanding or are just a response to her anxiety during that pause. Things become clear for both of you. Desperately brave actions may seem strong, but they lack the stability of sincerity. By patiently watching her actions, you stay in charge of your story and give her the chance to face her true motivations. Let her restlessness play out while you stay true to your values. You don't need to immediately praise her brave attempts. Instead, they allow you to reflect on the most effective use of your energy. A calm and balanced mind makes decisions not randomly, but with a purpose in mind. When understanding arises, emotional storms are short-lived and leave behind a calmer sky as the chaos of anger and desire fades. When the confusion fades, something amazing takes its place. She starts to understand the reasons behind your silence and sees the situation more clearly for the first time. She realizes that your decision to distance yourself wasn't based on indifference or a desire to hurt her. It wasn't a trick or punishment. It was an act of self-respect, a boundary set to protect your own peace rather than disrupting hers. This new perspective doesn't just calm her down emotionally, it changes how she sees you. She starts to realize how strong it was to act with restraint and respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. The anger she used to feel begins to fade away, replaced by a deep respect for your calm. Picture a woman in the middle of an emotional storm who is missing you and trying to figure out why you aren't talking. Initially, she might have felt hurt or even angry, but over time, the space you created for her to reflect allows her the opportunity to do so. In her mind, the story changes. He stepped back not because he didn't care, but because he values himself and doesn't need other people to tell him he's worthy enough. It's possible that this time apart helped me figure out what I really want. With this new clarity, she shows that she is growing. She starts to understand that your separation wasn't an attempt to control her, but rather a way for both of you to think about yourselves. Your quiet helps her understand better. Marcus Aurelius says, "Don't waste time arguing about what a good man should be. A Stoic man doesn't withdraw to punish, but to set an example by honoring his time." This is what it means to step back with purpose. His energy and emotional balance inspire others to do the same. Your absence serves as a lesson and a gentle reminder that meaningful relationships are based on respect and balance, not neediness or dependence. This space helps her understand you and herself. She learns to value the strength that comes from setting limits and choosing thoughtful actions over impulsive reactions. When clarity takes hold, it changes her view. What she thought was rejection now seems like a mission. She thinks you were wise to keep quiet and admires your courage to step back with grace. This understanding sets the stage for something deeper, whether it's a new bond or just mutual respect. However, for the man who maintains his composure, the goal was never to control what happened. It was to stay true to your values and let growth happen naturally. Your silence wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something meaningful. It made room for reflection, understanding, and personal growth. Whether she comes back into your life or not, the clarity she gains will show you the power of self-discipline and intentional living. When her understanding finally comes through, see it as a sign of your own strength. You have shown that real strength comes from having the guts to step back and let growth happen. In doing so, you have shown the quiet, unshakable power of a Stoic. How much you're worth. Man number 9. How much are you worth? At first, your silence may have caught her off guard, either by frustrating her, confusing her, or making her question your goals. But as time goes on, her view starts to change in a big way. Once you were always there, she missed you, but now she sees you differently. You're not just the person she thought she knew. She admires your self-discipline, your strong boundaries, and your unwavering sense of self-worth. She starts to understand that you're not someone who is constantly trying to please others or acting on short-lived feelings. You are someone with real worth. By taking a step back, you've created a stark contrast, one that highlights the difference between life with you and life without you. It's this very space, this silence, that makes her long for your presence even more. In the past, she may have seen your attention as something permanent, something she could rely on without question. But when you pulled back, everything shifted. This isn't about manipulation or mind games. It's about reclaiming your power and demonstrating that your energy is precious, not to be given away freely. Think of a man who once reached out to her every day, initiating conversations and making plans without fail over time. She became accustomed to it, perhaps even taking it for granted. But then he stopped, not out of anger, but as part of a quiet choice to focus on himself. As weeks pass, she begins to notice his absence. Now she's the one glancing at her phone, wondering why he hasn't reached out when she finally does hear from him. His words are thoughtful, measured and calm. Not the eager energy she once expected in her mind. He's no longer the man who constantly sought her validation. He's become the man who commands her admiration. His newfound distance makes him magnetic in a way his constant presence never could. Your absence amplifies your value. This idea fits with the old Stoic wisdom. Epictetus reportedly said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." You can show that you are master of yourself by being calm and choosing to step away. Show her your strength and control over your feelings by refusing to chase or beg and sticking to your decision to put yourself first so you stand out. You are someone who doesn't constantly seek approval, remains steadfast in your beliefs, and maintains strength during challenging times. This is what draws her closer. You've demonstrated to her the value of your presence, time, and energy. By stepping away, you teach her an important lesson, not through words, but through actions. You show her that your self-respect is non-negotiable, which sparks a deeper desire for connection. But as a Stoic, your goal isn't just to make her miss you. It's to stay true to yourself, act with integrity, and let others come to their own conclusions. Your silence carries immense power and leaves a lasting impression. Let your actions remind her and yourself that your worth is highest when it comes from self-respect. When you honor yourself, everyone will notice. That's the mental journey that unfolds when you step back and embrace silence. This isn't about tricking or playing games. It's about showing mental strength and respecting yourself while creating a space for growth and reflection, as we've talked about. Pulling away gives her a chance to feel the weight of your loss, to think, to question, and finally to understand how valuable you are. But more importantly, it lets you prioritize your peace, refocus on your goals, and stay true to your values. The Stoics teach us a vital lesson. The only things we can really manage are our own actions, reactions, and limits. Ask yourself if the decisions you make come from a place of inner power and awareness. Are you showing your value through actions or silence? Protect your energy, set clear boundaries, and let others come to their own conclusions on their own. Mutual respect, not neediness or dependence, forms real, lasting connections. Like this video and tell us what you liked best in the comments. Please let me know what you think, and if you know someone who could benefit from this message, please share it with them. Now go watch the suggested videos on your screen. Each video delves deeper into topics such as self-respect, emotional strength, and Stoic wisdom to navigate modern relationships effectively. Many thanks for watching. Stay strong, grounded, and true to yourself. See you next time.